Hey, I'm Akhil. I'm your counselor and coach for data science at Board Infinity. Today, we're going to be talking about how to solve a business case using data science, typically in the retail domain. Now, data science can be used or is used in a lot of domains, right? For example, Netflix. Netflix uses collaborative filtering algorithms to tell you what movies you want to watch next. Amazon customizes what products you want to buy. Data science is also used in urban planning. A very good example in these days is how data science is being used in public health. Especially during a pandemic, data science is used extensively to identify where is the next outbreak going to be, who are at-risk patients who need more attention and care. But today we are going to focus on how to use data science to solve a business problem in the retail space. Defining a problem is the most critical step that you have to do as a data scientist to solve it. Because if you don't define a problem right up front, you will get into a rabbit hole and never come out of it. You will solve a problem for 3 months and then go back to the client with answers for which he says, I never asked this problem to be solved. My problem was something else, right? Very, very important, very, very imperative to know what you're solving. Without defining a problem, never get into the business of solving it. Now, defining a problem, I also call this as taking a first principle approach because, come on, let's say if you're just starting as a data scientist and you're in the e-commerce space, you don't know what e-commerce is all about, you don't know their business model. You first need to understand their business and be vulnerable while doing it. What do I mean when I say be vulnerable? Because just accept for the fact that you're not going to know more about the business than your client, right? He or she has been in the industry for 20-25 years. They know what they're talking about. Be vulnerable in terms of understanding or trying to understand what the business is all about. That will really help you to define a problem. Now let's say you have got defining the problem out of the way. You're focusing on a very point problem of improving conversion rate on a very specific product line on a very collection of pages. Now when you define the problem, the next thing that you need to do is understand what are the different factors affecting conversion rate. I would call this as making a factor map, making a mind map. Just take a pen and paper and write all the factors that you think affects conversion rate. It can be the customer who is going to buy the product. It can be the placement of the product itself on the website. It can be a host of other things. But don't have factors like macroeconomic factors in this, right? And that's where your business understanding comes. A macroeconomic factor like population can be used as a factor for any problem, but does it make sense in this scenario? No, it doesn't. If you're going to come and tell the client, hey, your conversion rate is decreasing because there's a lot of unemployment in America, he will say, no, that's not the reason why. I know it's not the reason, right? So be sure that you're always focusing on the right factors. And this has to be in a conversation with the business stakeholders. Now, once you have your factors listed down, strike each one of it by understanding if you have the data to solve that problem. For example, let's say one of the factors in conversion rate is identifying the customer segment. You can make a hypothesis saying that customers between 20 to 25 usually have a higher conversion rate than others. Now, to answer that question, check if you have the data to answer it. What can the data be for answering this question? It can be the customer information like age and probably the website behavior that each person or each age has done on the website. Now do this for every factor. More often than not, what happens is for a few factors you will not have the data to answer the question, right? It can happen because data is ever growing and ever changing. There will be some places where you will not have the information, but that's fine. But you make a note of what are the different hypotheses and factors that you want to test and make a note of what hypothesis can you answer with the data available. Once that is done, the next step is to test your hypothesis and to gain some insights out of the data. Things, for example, your hypothesis, as I said, can be people who are generally 20 to 25 have a higher conversion rate than others. Now, how do you prove or disprove this hypothesis? Now let's go and look back at the data to see what has changed, right? So that there's a drop in conversion rate. You might find that earlier people of 20 to 25 years age were 50% of your population, but today they're just 20%. And there you go. That's an insight. Now do this hypothesis testing for various factors that you have listed down. Once this is done, you will have a list of factors that you think is affecting the conversion rate. The end part of it is to help understand the business stakeholder what the insight is. And this is where your data visualization skill will come into play. The final output of this exercise can be in the form of report, can be in the form of a dashboard, can be in the form of just you talking about the insights through a video, right? Also, it can be in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. Now make sure that you are able to get all the insights into one place and explain what is happening, because you're not going to show different results of statistical models. You're not going to show a huge table with thousands of rows of data and say make sense of it. That is why the person has called you to help him understand what is happening. Why is my conversion rate going down? Until and unless you can't get the answer on a PowerPoint or on paper, it's of no use.